In our last title, we worked with pixels in our responsive web design, but many times you'll find that working with percentages has a different effect, and it's your kitchen, so you do whatever you want, but we wanted to cover, instead of working with pixels, 1,000 pixels wide, 2,000 pixels tall, where do percentages come in? And it has a totally different effect when you're resizing the browser, but it's a totally different mentality. We're working with these three different devices here. And if we have this big browser window right here on the big screen, well, maybe we only want our page to show up in the center of the browser. So that would be a certain percentage there. But when we get to the iPhone, perhaps we want it to fill 100% of the iPhone. And when we get to the iPad, perhaps our browser window from view to view, in that we don't have as much room over here, maybe we want to fill 100% of that without using pixel values. Again, as before, if you want to download this percentage made CSS and HTML document, just go to the website, Notice it is case sensitive on that. Now, when dealing with percentages, what you have to think about all the time is, where are you? What box are you working with? And let's say this gray box is the browser window. Or better yet, let's say this white area out here is the browser window. Well, if the gray box perhaps is called wrapper, and of course we're making that name up for it's an ID in our CSS, could be a class, doesn't matter. But if the gray box, the wrapper, is in the browser, well, in this situation, we only want the gray box to take up, let's say, 60% of the browser window. So we would set the width of wrapper to 60%. But what about the header here? What percentage do we set that at? Do we set it at 60% also? No. Where are you? Very important. Where are you? Well, the header is in the wrapper. So we want the header to take up 100% of the wrapper. So we set the width for the header at 100%. But what about this aqua box over here? Well, we have content over here. That would be a separate box that I didn't draw. But this little side box would be 20% or something like that. And then 80% for content, with footer at 100% of the wrapper width. But then maybe you're a weirdo and you've got a little blue box over here for maybe your Facebook contact link. So it's pretty skinny. So maybe I would make that like 20% of this sidebar, and then this thing over here would be like 80% or 90%. And then, but God forbid, you've got this little yellow box in here. So this little yellow box is only like 80% of this. So you have to remember, where are you? And you always have to think to yourself, where am I, and what percentage of this box do I want this box that I'm making to contain? Where are you? So let's look at some code here. Let's pull this out of the way and bring in our Dreamweaver environment. So I've created some new style sheets. Now we're connected to percentages, 112 percentages, 112 resize, and pretty much if I look at my source code for the HTML document, nothing other than linking to these percentage CSS style sheets, nothing has really changed. Header is still header. My wrapper is still wrapper. My IDs for left and right content are still the same. I mean, nothing, this is the beauty of CSS. Nothing in my HTML document has changed from the previous title. But if I go into my CSS, just my basic CSS, not my resized CSS, here's where the changes take place. I have my wrapper set at 80% of the browser window. Margin left, margin right remain the same. Header is at 100%. Image is still at pixels. Ooh, in a title down the road, we'll talk about scaling images, and yes, you can scale background images too. That's a trick in itself. We'll save for another title. My percentage, notice percentage left is this, percentage right is that. Footer is at 100% width, and that would be at 100% width of the wrapper. And if I go into the resize with my media queries, well, here we go. Now this is a little funky here. This is just a decision that I made. When we get to the portrait settings of the iPad, I've got this at 80%. In reality, I really think that should be at 100% of the iPad. It's going to fill the entire screen. That's your call. But then again, the header is in the wrapper, and that's going to be 100% of wrapper. My image is still in pixels. I leave those alone. My percentages are still 20 and 80% with my footer at 100%. And then for my iPhone, there clearly I just want to go to 100%. And the wrapper, I'm telling the wrapper to take up 100% of that window. So let's see if we can get the page actually working here. If I can find it. Let's just try this. Come over here, preview in Chrome. Here we go. And here we go. We're looking a little bit different. And notice as I resize, it is a percentage. Notice that the thing is actually scaling, which is kind of cool. I like that as opposed to pixels where it just sits there. But I come in closer, closer, closer. There we go. And here it is for the iPad portrait with that little gap over there. I mean, I would really prefer for this to take up the whole thing. But then we come down and get down to 320. Bam. We're at 100% of the iPhone. We're filling it up. Now, there you go. Now, in another title, what we're going to do is, let's say we have links below our header and they fill over here. But once we get to the iPad, you see it all the time where all of a sudden the links aren't there. Or maybe we have links over here on the left. What if we want to get rid of our links here and drop those links filling the screen all the way across? You see that all the time on the iPad and specifically on the cell phone environment. And we'll take care of that in our next title. And hey, give me a call. And we can do this one-on-one.